Hello guys, today we are reading a book again. It's the same book that we read last time. So, we're on page 8 now. Last page was page 7. Alright, so I'm going to read page 7. Um, just a little bit. Alright. In spite of the way Dr. Hera seemed nice, her white coat, her stethoscope, and her title, Doctor, immediately brought up memories of Doc, the grizzled old guy who'd turned Billy into the monster he'd discovered himself to be. Hours before he'd made his way to the junkyard, Billy knew that Doc had only done what Billy had asked him to do. But didn't that didn't mitigate Billy's association of Doc with all the pain he'd gone through. Billy hated the idea of another doctor looming over him. He didn't want to be in a doctor's control. Your heart sounds good, Dr. Hera said, straightening. Billy exhaled in relief when Dr. Hera stepped away from his bed and pulled out the brown vinyl chair, which was straight backed and didn't look comfortable, towards the foot of the bed. She placed the chair where Billy could easily see her without craning his neck. She took a seat. Okay, Dr. Hera said. Let's get you caught up on what's been going on. Sound good? Still feeling intimidated and wary, Billy managed a nod. He needed to know what had happened, so he forced himself to stay calm and listen. Dr. Hera clasped her large hands together. That's supposed to say clapped, because that CLASPED. Clasped her large hands together. Okay, Dr. Hera said again. She said the word with a long O sound. Okay, Dr. Hera opened her mouth and then closed it. Perhaps we should start with what you remember, she said. In spite of all his nervousness, Billy found himself relaxing a little. Dr. Hera spoke with a slight accent. Billy thought it was maybe Spanish, and the ebb and flow of her words were strangely soothing. Billy cleared his throat. I remember going to the junkyard and getting in the odd car. I remember the car was being crushed. These words were what Billy heard in his mind when he spoke, but what he heard in his ears was much different. Without a tongue, Billy could only clearly use a few letters: A, B, E, F, I, M, O, P, R, V, and Y, without distortion. Some letters, K, Q, U, and X, were close, but somewhat garbled. The rest of the letters, those that required pressing his tongue to the roof of his mouth in any way, weren't accessible at all. Consequently, his speech was mushy and difficult to understand. Somehow, though, Dr. Herrera managed to grab the gist of what Billy had said. That's what I thought, Dr. Herrera said. After you were found, the police at first thought you'd been attacked and placed in the vehicle compactor against your will. They had to go to your home and investigate. When they did that, they found out the truth. Billy pressed his lips together. He hated the idea of strangers going through his things. He could feel his heart rate speeding up. He forced himself to breathe slowly. At least he didn't have to explain anymore. Why am I alive? Billy asked. Well, to start with, Dr. Hera said. Dumb luck, apparently. No one is sure why you survived the machine. But you did, and you were found just in time because the junkyard owner is a bird watcher. He said he spotted a rare bird on the hood of the station wagon That's when he noticed blood coming out from under the wagon's back door. It's almost too late. You suffered 7 injuries. You had a cracked skull jaw, collarbone, and pelvis, and your right arm and left leg were fractured. You also had internal injuries, some damage to your liver, kidneys, spleen, and gallbladder. Plus, you had a collapsed lung when they brought you in. In addition to that, you had all the modifications you underwent before the compactor injuries. We dealt with your injuries and we removed all the foreign materials and parts. Moving on to page 10 now. From your body. In a series of surgeries during that time and for several weeks after, we've kept you in a medically induced coma to give your body the time it needed to heal. Dr. Herrera studied Billy's face. And your body has done a fine job, I have to say, considering how much Billy hurt. He wasn't sure about that, but he didn't say anything. He was struggling to comprehend the fact that all the additions he'd made to his body had been removed. So why was so much of him still here? His memory told him that he'd been nearly entirely replaced with metal and wire and plastic. Glancing down at his clearly intact right hand, Billy had to question his take on what he'd done to himself. Obviously, he had it wrong, but why? Dr. Herrera shifted in the brown chair. Billy refocused on her. Some of the work you had done couldn't be undone, Dr. Herrera said. Your right leg and left arm were amputated. The exterior cartilage of your ears has been removed, and most of your tongue is missing. The rest of your body, however, was integrated with the foreign material. Oddly, your left leg had been surgically alerted to appear as if it had been amputated, and prosthetic materials had been incorporated with your flesh. According to the files the police found in your house, you asked the doctor to remove all your limbs, but it appears he got lazy or maybe greedy. He took your money and didn't do one of the amputations. He just made modifications. So it appeared that the amputation was done. Dr. Herrera shook her head, then went on. The police raided the old mental hospital where your doctor did his surgeries, and they found body parts in the freezer. Not all were yours, but some were, including your right arm. We're able to reattach parts when they're preserved. Well enough, Billy looked down at his right arm in awe. Dr. Herrera smiled and crossed her legs. As for the rest, Dr. Herrera said, when I removed all of what shouldn't have been there, it came out as one coherent piece. All the extraneous parts held together with wires and your own connective tissue and flesh. Removing that. Oh wait. I missed the line. Billy winced at the idea of what must have gone into removing that from his body, and at the idea of losing even more of himself in the process, his stomach clenched. Dr. Herrera leaned forward and touched Billy's right hand. Billy thought she meant the gestures as one of the comfort. But it just made his stomach flip over again. He wanted to yank his hand away from her, but he was too scared. The idea of this woman slicing him open, taking out what had essentially been a cobbled-together animatronic endoskeleton, brought up memories of the time Billy had spent in Doc's basement. Billy couldn't contain a shiver, but Dr. Herrera didn't seem to notice it. The work that was done on you, Dr. Herrera, went on. Although unconscionable and gruesome, was unlike anything I've seen because of what we removed in one of our storage vaults downstairs. Dr. Herrera cocked her head. Do you have any questions, Billy? Billy had a lot of questions, but he didn't want to ask any of them. Still marveling at its intact right arm, he finally managed to lift it, trailing the line that was inserted into the back of his hand. He brought his fingers to his face. Not sure what he'd feel, he attentively touched his cheek. Would you like a mirror? Dr. Harrow asked. Ugh. Billy hesitated, then nodded. I thought you might, Dr. Harrow said. She reached into the pocket of her white coat and pulled out a hand mirror, standing. Dr. Harrow stepped toward the head of Billy's bed and held the mirror out in front of him. Billy took a deep breath and looked at his reflection. The last time Billy had inspected himself, what he'd seen was nothing like what he was seeing now. Gone were the hard edges created by the metal plating. Gone were the black eyes. Gone was the bare skull. Yes, Billy's ears were still missing, but other than that, he looked pretty normal. He even saw a bit of his dad in the small eyes and nose, round cheeks, and wide mouth that he saw in the mirror, as it had when Billy was a child. Billy's brown hair was sticking up haphazardly in a variety of directions. His hair was maybe 3 inches long. Obviously, he'd been in the coma for quite some time. If the hair itself hadn't been a hint of the past time, the condition of Billy's scars told the rest of the story. When Billy had imagined Dr. Harrow cutting into him and taking out all the extra parts he'd envisioned, jagged incisions crusted with blood and tied with stark black thread. Instead, we saw faintly red scars bracketing his cheeks, forehead, and jaw. Clearly, he was well on his way to healing from his wounds. Billy tried to take the mirror from Dr. Harrow's hand, but he found that his fingers wouldn't work quite right. Dr. Harrow shifted the mirror as she gestured with her other hand at Billy's right arm. You're going to be a little bit stiff up there. Oh, you'll be. You're going to be a little stiff after being out for so long. And I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you in part 3. I love FNAF. Let me just put the bookmark in. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying this content. Even though I'm shit at reading. Now I know some people like Ryan the Squishy guy may not like it, but other people like you might. So yeah, if you're interested, you can check out part 1. It's not even like there's not even that many videos milking after it, but yeah. So yeah, I'll see you in either part 1 or part 3. Goodbye.